I have wanted to talk to him, or maybe you can tell him in case I don't see him.
I got mint in my mouth.
You got a mint in your mouth? Is that what you want to say to Grandpa Kip?
No.
What do you want to say now?
Happy birthday.
All right. What about you, Christian?
Happy birthday, and thank you for all the McDonald's cards.
All right. Very good.
Welcome to the celebration of our dad and Grandpa Kip to the rest of us. We will cut the birthday cake after our skit. Great-grandsons Christian and Nicholas Meldrum will be playing Kip at all ages. At times, the actual people will be present. This skit was written by Kip's daughter, Judy Rock. We hope you enjoy this story entitled Kip's Life. I know it isn't morning, but this is how Kip starts each day. Psalms 118, verse 24. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Kip, or Clifford Winston Halasic, was born in the home of his maternal grandparents in South Stillwater, Bayport, Minnesota, on April 23, 1919. Joseph and Lena Farstad were there for him from the beginning. Grandpa and Grandma took good care of him as his mother Clara worked full-time. As all young boys wait with a longing to be big boys, or even men, Clifford could hardly wait until the day he could wear big boy pants. Knickers were worn until the age of about 12, and then they were young men. Kip went on to be confirmed in the Lutheran Church. Clifford liked the name Kip and got everyone to call him that. One of his first jobs was working at a bowling alley setting pins. He also worked for Anderson Windows. His pay was 30 cents an hour. A group of friends from Bayport went to a dance in St. Paul. Kip was nearly 18 in April 1937 when he asked Bernice Hasley of St. Paul to dance. After sharing an orange soda pop, Kip asked Bernice what church she went to. She was a Lutheran. From then on, he made many trips to see Bernice. Valentine's Day 1939, Kip asked Bernice to be his bride. Kip and Bernice were married June 10, 1939, in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. Cousin Helen was one of the flower girls. On their honeymoon, they went to the Little Brown Church in the Vale in Iowa.
As the little brown church
house was on Euclid Street in St. Paul, Minnesota. Kips' in-laws, Emmett and Alice Hasley, helped the young couple purchase the house. Daughter Judith Ann was born 1 year and 5 days after their marriage. She came home to this house. Emmett also made it possible for Kip to come into the grocery store business. Hasley Brothers in Halassic was the corner grocery store. The employees all wore white aprons while in the store. Grandma Alice Hasley made the aprons, and Kip made home deliveries. Their second home was a 2-story duplex. The family lived in the lower level, and upstairs their renters became very good friends. Little Clifford Winston Halassic II, Skipper, came to this home 3.5 years after Judy on December 1st, 1943. Along with a new son came a letter from Uncle Sam telling Kip he was wanted by the Navy. Kip worked in the Naval Shipyard office while stationed in San Diego, California. He was lonely for his family, so he sent for Bernice, 4-year-old Judy, and 1-year-old Skipper. Skipper weighed 38 pounds at 1 year old. He was a lot for Bernice to carry on the train to California. The family lived in San Diego for 1 year before Kip was discharged. This is the 1936 Oldsmobile he purchased for the move back to Minnesota in the spring of 1945. Doesn't Bernice look great in front of the duplex they lived in near National City? After the war, large markets sprang up and the corner store could not compete. So after 2 cold winters in Minnesota, the house and the grocery store were sold. The family moved to Linwood, California, where Kip was able to pay cash for the house that his aunt had owned. Kip owned the second television in Linwood in 1948. That first year, Bernice and Kip had a living room full of people watching the 1949 Rose Parade. His first new car was a 1950 Ford that was yellow-green or chartreuse in color. Considering Kip is colorblind, we thought he made a good choice. Food was what Kip knew best. He became a food salesman in California. He was good at sales and met many people all over the West Coast and east to Phoenix. He sold Occident cake mixes, one of the first cake mixes, canned tamales, chili, rice, codfish cakes, tea garden preserves, and treetop apple juice. Durkee spices. Later he sold Preem, a dry dairy creamer. He tried selling plastic shelf liner, also an electric bug killer. Kip sold Christian movie rentals to churches for Hanson Church films. Last, there is Subi Honey. He finished his career selling honey with this company. While selling honey, Kip started a daily regimen of drinking a mixture of apple vinegar and honey for his health. Kip has enjoyed quite good health. In 1948, Kip and Bernice found St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Linwood, led by Pastor Allen and Eunice Hansen. Kip's life was centered around the church. He was president of the church and the Men's Brotherhood. He was the leader of the Lutheran League for many years. Many of them are here today. He also taught Sunday school for 6th grade girls. Pastor Allen and Eunice started Christian Renewal Center in Oregon. Kip was close to them and the center. This is the chapel at Christian Renewal Center. Kip's favorite verse is Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9. For by grace you have been saved, through faith, and that not of yourself. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man can boast. One of Kip's favorite hobbies was making sawdust. When Kip and Bernice moved to Southgate in 1962, his garage became his wood shop, therefore no room for a car. Over the years, he crafted tables and chairs for the grandchildren. He made small step stools, or scummels, like his grandfather had made for him. He was always making things for many people. Everything he made, he gave away. Other creations were hall trees, many wood bowls on his lathe, boxes of all sizes, a checkerboard, rocking horse, piano stool, dowel beds, cribbage boards, and he copied Great-Grandma Pap's caned rocker. Kip made cutting boards of various sizes until Judy asked for a small cutting board. I'm sure Kip made hundreds of small cutting boards that are used today all over the world. Bernice was an artist that needed stretcher boards for oil painting canvases. The number of stretcher boards he made would astound us. Bernice was also an art teacher, and students purchased these economical canvases. Kip made a few easels also. He also made wood knots. The story behind wood knots is this. Judy was turning 50 the next year. The first month of that year before, a card came with a $1 bill in it. The next month came a card with a $2 bill in it. Judy called and said she couldn't wait to see what a $3 bill looked like. The third month is when the first wood knot showed up. Kip crafted a container out of wood and sealed coins inside. Each month, a different design showed up at Judy's home. She would not open them, thus the name. She now has quite a collection. This is an example of the poem Kip wrote that came with the wood knot shaped as a bell. This bell doesn't have any chimes, but look inside and you will find some dimes. There are other coins on the inside too that were put there especially for you. I worked hard to make this bell. How do you open it? I won't tell. Judy married Earl Ropp on September 17, 1960. They moved to Orange and gave Grandpa 3 grandchildren, Carrie, Cindy, and Wayne. In March of 1963, Skip and Carolyn Ryber became man and wife. Their 2 boys, Cliff and Carl, soon joined the first 3 grandchildren. Grandpa Kip and Grandma Bee were delighted. Skip and Carolyn moved to Fullerton. Kip and Bernice found a rundown house in the high desert in Pear Blossom, California. They had just purchased this, and the Ropps announced they were moving to Oregon. Not a happy time. The cabin became known as the Big H because of the Big H that was created while re-roofing the cabin with scrap materials. Most weekends they drove to the cabin with plastic bottles full of water for the fruit trees that Kip planted. They improved the property and enjoyed the venture. Note the only spring. Earl, Judy, and family moved to Bend, Oregon in January 1968. Skip was working for Goodyear Tires, and the plant relocated to Lawton, Oklahoma in 1973. They were the second family to move away from Southern California. Kip was a big part of 4 generations of Holacics and 5 of the Ropps. The grandchildren, Carrie, Cindy, Wayne, Skipper, and Carl, liked to go to Grandpa Kip and Grandma Bee's house. A bed was made in the garage for the children, and many stories of white nights, trips to the store with spending money, and just the attention they got from loving grandparents have left good memories for them all. Grandpa gave the 2 families gumball machines. The Ropps declined the offer, and the neighborhood kids and visiting grandchildren enjoy the gumball machine in Grandpa's garage today. Beside the machine sits a large can with a never-ending supply of pennies. Kip and Bernice took good care of their mothers for many years. The neat thing was that the mother-in-laws liked each other. Both lived to be 92. Kip smoked cigarettes from an early age. He started smoking cigarillos, small cigars, which were his trademark. He used the cigar boxes for many projects that some of us still have. Beside his chair, there is still an antique cigar container, even though he quit smoking years ago. Some grandchildren still like the smell of cigar smoke because of this memory. Nowadays, Kip enjoys his big recliner chair and has a new saying, "I'm a good sitter." In 1974, at the age of 65, Kip and Bernice took a big trip to Norway and Germany. They saw the home where Kip's grandfather, Jacob Farstad, was born and met cousins he had only heard about. Kip had his picture taken in front of the same window with the son of the cousin Kip's grandfather previously stood with. Before the trip, Kip thought the man was a train conductor. He was actually a fisherman. Grandpa Kip came home with memories and stories of trolls under the bridge to tell the grandkids. About 1977, Kip and Bernice moved to Lakewood, and Kip retired from Sue Bee hunting. Through the years, many cats have called Kip's lap home. Lucky was the name that stands out, but many stray cats were adopted. Even today, the cats visit Kip during the day and go home to their families at night. Another pet was a turtle and then more turtles. Myrtle turned out to be a he, and the other turtle, named 921, was a she, and then came these little babies. One of Kip's passions is card playing. At an early age, his Uncle Art taught him to play card games and play them right. Over his 90 years, he has been and is still an exceptionally good pinochle and cribbage player, but not with women. Bernice and Kip played acey-deucey for years. Skip and Kip play cards in the garage whenever he visits. Skip carries on the tradition in his Lawton, Oklahoma garage. Because Kip's garages were used to make sawdust, a car never dwelled inside his garage. Not long ago, he got a smaller car. Skip came to visit and clean the garage. For the first time, Kip now parks his car inside the garage. Poetry is a gift Kip has. The family has received many ditties over the years. Judy has a scrapbook full of them. Here's another one of his poems. Monday Night Football is the name of the game. It's also what drives some wives insane. ABC set the Monday night course. They also cause a lot to divorce. Let's watch the Rams, Vikings, and Bears. Then we'll find out who really cares. I care about you. You're still my little girl. But you spend more time with a guy named Earl. While living in Lakewood, Kip started attending baseball games each evening at the city park near his home. Being a detailed person, he kept score, and often the umpires confirmed the score with Kip. His friend Joe made Kip the honorary manager for the team of young men. His team usually wins. The team has a new name each year. It is now a co-ed team and is still winning. Kip has the trophies to prove it. Frank, Bob, and Dennis meet Kip each weekday morning around 10. They seldom let weather stop them, as this picture shows. Bethany Lutheran Church has become his church home. At first service every Sunday, you will find Kip on the right front of the church. Kip is active with the senior group. Kip has also given 2 children's sermons, one on redemption, which is the redeeming of a small sailboat a child had made. The other sermon was on David and Goliath, and the type of slingshot used along with strong faith in our God, who will not fail us. Kip has done a good job. This has been our tribute to our dad, Clifford Winston Halasic Sr., and well known as Kip. We love you and happy birthday.
Speech.
I don't know if he can talk right now, but we'll definitely get him to say something. I've been told there are a couple of people that would like to say something, and that this is the time. So, Larry, I think you wanted to say something.
Group that they were talking about in the movie there. I don't think I need that. Well, can you hear me back there? Yeah. You probably are glad if you can, okay? My wife said I had to cut this short, so I'll keep it about 14 minutes. I honestly can say that during my growing up years, Kip was my true mentor. I believe that if it wasn't for Kip, I might have not turned out as bad as I did. I lived in East Los Angeles, and I went over to Linwood to go to church over there and to attend Luther League, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there were about 60 kids there most Sundays. Well, I was very close, but you couldn't count anyway. You worked for the food complex. One thing about Kip, there's a couple of things. I could really tell you a lot of stories about Kip, but I'll only keep them to two. If you mentioned in here about Kip being colorblind, the company he worked for at the time, I thought it was Durkee's, but I must have been wrong. Huh? Okay, it was Durkee's. Bought him a new car, and he was really proud of that car. And he came out there, and it was a Dodge or a Plymouth or some kind of a Chrysler product, and it was kind of a sea green. And Kip came out there and says, "I want you to see my new car. I love that color brown." I did not know that Kip was colorblind at the time, so I thought he was pulling my leg, which he has been known to do. But I never did tell him that car was green, I don't think. But I do know his wife laid out his clothes for him. She went away on a couple, 3 days. She had his socks laid out and his tie and his shirt and whichever suit he was supposed to wear. There was a number on the shirt and a number on the suit, so we got the right one. Okay. Anyway, the most amazing thing that I remember about Kip and the Luther League was wherever we went, there was a ping pong table. I don't know why, but this guy thought he was the world's greatest ping pong player. He was. And yet to this day, I can't convince him that I beat him about every time we play. I'll never get him to admit that. So Kip, from the group here, I have a ping pong paddle. And on this paddle it says, King Kip, 1953 through 1957, Luther League ping pong champion. At the bottom it says, at least he thinks. No.
We've got quite a few of our old Luther League group here.
Yep.
And I don't need that. And there's even Sandy, who's in my Sunday school class. Here's Sandy sitting right here. My Sunday school class. I had the Sunday school class for many years. And the youth group was so great. But Larry, one night at the group, was acting up, and he wouldn't stop. And I said, Larry, you've got to go home. And I kicked him out. You have to go home. And you tell your dad that I sent you home, because you know I'm going to ask your dad. Larry, there's a lot of the Luther Leaguers here. Larry and I became very, very close, very close. And he had this pretty girl back there, Joanne. And one night, knock on the door, went there was Larry and Joanne. I'll tell you how close Larry and I were. They had just become engaged, and they came over to show me first. Now we're going home and tell their parents.
Anyone else want to say something? This is your chance. If not, we're going to...
Doris up there.
Very representative.
And what we're going to do is going to cut the cake now, but first, what do you do at birthdays when you have birthday cake? Carol, take off.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kip. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Our Father in heaven, and we just thank each one of you. We didn't pray before, maybe we'll pray before we have this service. Father, I just thank you for the people that have gathered here to honor my dad. I thank you that you've protected them as they've driven quite a distance, a lot of them. We just love you, Lord, and we just thank you for this opportunity to honor my dad, Kip. In Jesus' name, we thank you for the food, too. Amen. They'll be here in a second, and you can start in. There's lots more food over there, too.